When you think about the unseen forces shaping technology in public life, your mind might jump straight to algorithms, right? Or maybe the data they use.
Sure, those are the obvious ones.
But what if one of the most critical forces, something often working behind the scenes, is actually, well, something you probably encounter every day in public service?
You're talking about procurement.
Exactly. Today, our deep dive is into the really crucial, often overlooked role of procurement, how governments actually buy or acquire artificial intelligence, and crucially, what that means for public values. We've got some fascinating insights for this deep dive based on research titled Want Accountable AI in Government? Start with Procurement from techpolicy.press. It draws on work by scholars from Carnegie Mellon and the University of Pittsburgh.
And what's really interesting here, especially for you listening as a public servant, is how directly this connects to your work. You know, your ability to make sure public values are front and center and to build that trust with the citizens you serve. So our goal today is really to unpack how these purchasing decisions are actually happening on the ground, not just the theory, but the practice, and how that shapes AI's real-world impact.
Okay, let's dive in. The research starts with a pretty startling case, doesn't it? It really sets the stage.
It does. Imagine a city police department using predictive policing software. You know, deciding where to deploy officers.
Yeah, you'd expect a lot of public discussion around that.
Right.
Ethical reviews, council debates.
Exactly. But this case from New Orleans back in 2018 involved the police department using software from Palantir.
Okay.
And the core issue wasn't just the tech itself, but how they got it. The researchers found this huge loophole.
A loophole.
Yeah. Palantir donated the software for free.
Wow. Donated.
And because no money actually changed hands, the whole deal it completely sidestepped the city's normal oversight processes.
So no standard checks, no council approval.
None of it. It bypassed the very mechanisms designed to protect public interests and ensure accountability.
That's kind of shocking. A gift, essentially bypassing all the safeguards.
It really raises a fundamental question, doesn't it? How can something seemingly positive, like a donation, end up undermining public accountability?
Yeah.
It showed that procurement isn't just, a boring buying process. It's actually a really powerful lever governments have or should have to push for public values. Things like safety, non-discrimination, privacy, accountability itself.
So this exposes a major blind spot.
A huge one. And it underlines the core finding. Any effort to make AI procurement more responsible, more ethical, is going to fail if it doesn't grapple with how these decisions actually get made day to day, often way outside the formal rules.
Which has massive implications for public servants, especially here in Canada, trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely. Recognizing these hidden pathways is step one.
Okay, so let's talk about those pathways. Most people probably think of public procurement as, that standard process. The request for proposal, the RFP.
Right, the formal solicitation.
Where the government outlines a need, vendors submit bids, there's a competition, a winner is chosen. All very structured.
And lots of good work is focused there. Groups like the World Economic Forum, they're putting out resources on how to build responsible AI criteria into those RFPs.
Which is important, definitely.
And this is the really critical insight from the research. Many, maybe even most, AI systems aren't coming in through that formal RFP door at all. They're using these alternative purchasing pathways. And that's where the current guidance often falls short. It's where a lot of the unaddressed risk lies, especially for you working within the system.
Okay, so let's break down these alternative pathways the research identified. What do they look like in practice?
Well, first, you've got small dollar purchases.
Like using a government credit card, a P card.
Exactly. An employee needs a quick tool, maybe some AI transcription software. It's under the threshold for competitive bidding, so they just buy it. Seems minor, right?
Yeah, seems efficient.
But it skips all the vetting. What if that tool has weak security? What if it's biased? Who checked?
Right. Okay, what else?
Then there's donated AI, like we saw with Palantir in New Orleans.
Yeah.
A company offers it for free, maybe for a pilot project.
And because there's no price tag, it flies under the radar of procurement rules.
Precisely. No financial transaction often means no formal scrutiny, no public input. It's a huge gap.
Okay, got it. What's next?
University partnerships. These sound great, right? Bringing in academic innovation.
Yeah, leveraging research for public good. Seems positive.
It can be, but sometimes these collaborations lead to AI tools being developed and then sort of slipped into government operations without going through the usual procurement checks.
So a pilot project evolves into regular use without that formal vetting.
It can happen. Again, who's assessing the risks,
Hmm.
the potential bias, the privacy implications before it affects citizens?
Makes sense. What else?
Then there's the rise of freely available AI. Think tools like ChatGPT or other large language models.
Oh, yeah, anyone can access those online.
Exactly. So an employee might start using one for, say, drafting internal reports or even generating public communications because it's easy and free.
But without any formal sign-off or review.
Right. Who's checking data security? Accuracy? Potential bias? Is it aligned with government standards for transparency? It's the Wild West, almost.
Okay, one more.
Yeah, and this one's subtle but really important. AI features being added to existing contracts.
How does that work?
You might have a long-term contract with a vendor for, say, a basic IT service. Then the vendor rolls out a new update that includes an AI component.
Ah, so it wasn't part of the original deal that was procured and reviewed.
Exactly, it just appears. And maybe nobody in the city staff, let alone the public, gets notified or has a chance to assess this new AI capability that's suddenly part of the service.
Wow, that's a lot of ways for AI to sneak in.
It is. And the research suggests why this happens so often. It seems city employees often see the formal competitive process, the RFP route, as just inefficient and cumbersome.
Yeah, you hear that a lot, red tape, bureaucracy.
Right. So they find workarounds. But that leads to this really critical tension, doesn't it? How do you balance that need for speed and efficiency with the absolute necessity of public trust, ethical oversight, and accountability?
That's the million-dollar question.
And it raises the question, how can local governments possibly set up consistent AI governance rules or norms when so many tools are coming in outside that main process?
And for you, the public servant on the ground, how do you ensure accountability for the Canadian citizens you're serving when the tools you're using might have slipped in through one of these side doors?
Exactly. It's about bridging that gap between the official policy and what's actually happening.
Okay, so it's not just how AI is acquired, but also who is doing the acquiring, or at least overseeing it. The research looked into the internal structures too, right?
It did, and found a pretty clear divide in how local governments organize this, which really impacts their capacity for oversight.
Interesting. What are the models?
Broadly, two main types. First, you have centralized oversight.
Meaning everything goes through one main office.
Pretty much. Every software purchase, AI included, has to go through a central IT department or maybe a dedicated procurement office. They vet it for quality, security, risk.
Okay.
And some cities are going further, setting up centralized reviews, specifically needing AI experts who are trained to spot those unique AI risks, bias, transparency issues, etc.
So that allows for more consistency, more specialized knowledge.
Definitely. You get a standard process, hopefully applied rigorously across the board by people who know what to look for.
And the other model?
Is decentralized. Here, individual departments, police, schools, public works, you name it, they have more autonomy, sometimes free reign, to manage their own IT buying.
So the police department buys its own software, the fire department buys its own.
Exactly. Which might mean they can adopt tech faster, tailored to their specific needs. That sounds efficient, maybe.
Right.
But the risk assessment becomes fragmented. Does the Parks Department have the same AI expertise as the IT department? Probably not. So the level of scrutiny can vary wildly.
One department might do a deep dive, another might just skim the terms of service.
Precisely. Same budget, potentially very different levels of risk management.
Wow. So the internal org chart itself becomes a factor in AI accountability. That's not something you think about every day.
It's crucial. And it means, as the researchers point out, that a one-size-fits-all reform strategy just isn't going to work. What works in a city with strong central IT won't necessarily work where departments buy their own tech.
Right. So what are the options for those decentralized places?
Well, the research suggests two main paths. Either they need to seriously invest in training people within each department to understand and assess AI risks.
Which sounds expensive and may be hard to standardize.
It could be. Or the alternative is they need to somehow reconfigure their workflows, maybe just for AI tools, to loop in some kind of centralized review, even if it's just for hitting minimum ethical standards.
So either build capacity everywhere or create a new central checkpoint just for AI.
Basically, yeah. And both options raise big questions about who's ultimately responsible and whether they have the capacity and the authority to do the job effectively. How do we empower public servants to make these calls?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the research leaves us with some big questions, doesn't it? Questions that feel incredibly relevant for public servants listening right now.
Definitely. These aren't just academic exercises, they're practical challenges governments are facing now, and understanding them is key if you want to apply this knowledge.
So what are these key questions?
Okay, first one. How can local governments stand up oversight and review processes for AI proposals that may bypass the conventional solicitation process?
Right. How do you catch the donations, the small buys, the free tools, building new safety nets?
Exactly. Second, who within a government has the capacity and leverage to be responsible for identifying and managing the risks posed by procured AI technology?
So who owns this? Is it IT? Legal? Procurement?
Yeah.
A new AI ethics team?
Hmm.
And do they actually have the power and the skills?
Mm-hmm. It's about finding the right people and empowering them.
And the third?
How might existing procurement workflows be restructured to ensure that the right people are brought in to conduct meaningful evaluation of proposed AI solutions?
So not just adding a step, but maybe rethinking the whole flow so that ethical and risk checks happen early and effectively.
Precisely, embedding it right from the start.
These are huge questions, but also it feels like a real opportunity, right? For policy folks, researchers, advocates.
And absolutely for dedicated public servants like you listening, it's a chance to come together and actually reshape how governments adopt AI. The research even suggests bringing residents into the loop more, centering their input.
Giving the people impacted by the tech a voice in how it's chosen.
Yeah. Because ultimately, public procurement is where some of the most critical, consequential decisions about AI in the public sector get made, often quietly.
So for you, understanding these hidden dynamics isn't just interesting. It directly impacts the trust you build and the positive difference you can make for the communities you serve here in Canada.
Absolutely. It gives you the framework to ask the right questions and push for better outcomes.
So we've taken quite the deep dive today into what might seem like a dry topic, procurement.
Huh. Not so dry when you see what's at stake.
Exactly. It's revealed as this surprising, powerful gatekeeper for AI in government. It's not just about buying stuff. It's really about shaping the future of public service and its impact on all of us.
And I think the final thought to leave you with is this. If we genuinely want to understand why a certain AI system is being used in government and truly whose interests it serves,
Yeah.
we really have to start by looking at how it got in the door in the first place.
Yeah.
How was it acquired? Understanding that puts the power back in your hands as public servants to probe deeper and advocate for technologies that truly benefit the public.
That's a powerful takeaway. Look at the how, not just the what. Absolutely crucial. Think about that as you go about your work, those hidden pathways, those structures, and the real power lying within procurement to shape a better future.